Hello and welcome to From Dial Square to Where, the Arsenal Twitter podcast. Today is really look. That is really unusual. I'm actually smiling because we can talk about a win. I feel like it's been so long since I've actually been able to do that. My muscles are all gone a bit weak around my cheeks. So very nice feeling after Monday. So tonight's guest, I've got another one on the way. He's running a bit late. But today you've got the brilliant Melvin Marks. How are you doing, Melvin?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Melvin.
Good evening.
And Stan the man. How are you, Stan? All the way from Canada, the groover from Vancouver.
Good, mate. As you say, we got a win in the bag, So yeah,
very unusual, isn't it? So we've got to have some decent things to talk about tonight. Finally, now off air we were just talking, just briefly, and I said about the fact that I've not been off Twitter. I've still been, reasonably active, but I haven't commented at all really about the match on Monday against West Ham on purpose, because I still couldn't quite believe the amount of people that were just being incredibly negative about it, and saying that we still played shit. We only had a good spell of 15 minutes and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I was just absolutely over the moon and just decided myself to really, really concentrate on the positives that came out of that match. And I think there was quite a lot of positives that came out of the match myself. So I just refused to be drawn into any negativity about it myself. So, I mean, first and foremost, guys, let's start with you, Stan. What were your overwhelming thoughts? I mean, obviously a lot of relief, I'm sure, on Monday, but yeah, well, what were your thoughts on the match?
Well, you're looking for positive thoughts, so I best not mention the first 60 minutes of that match.
Yeah. Although I've got positives to come out of that myself personally, but I can talk to you about that.
I thought I like the lineup. I'm glad that he's sticking with. I'm glad that Freddie's sticking with the same formation. So you've seen the team go out now and stick to a formation which I think is good all round. I thought the lineup was more adventurous. We were finally going to get to see the two main fullbacks starting together, and then just before I turned up at the pub, Hector apparently broke down in training, so they had to make a change there. All right, Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
Evening.
Better late than never, Ryan. Sticking to your what's it called? Your model, being a little bit late.
Oh, of course.
You can't change the habit of a lifetime. Anyway, sorry, carry on, Stan.
And then he took Luis out of the firing line as well, which I thought was good. But he still left in Socrates and he still left in Xhaka, which for me are still two weak links in our setup. But so glad to see Gabriel Martinelli starting in the Premier League as well. So overall, I thought it was a much more improved lineup.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only thing I would have changed is Socrates. However, in saying that, yeah, I probably would have had Louise instead of Socrates for this match. However, I still really, really want to see Chambers and Holding when Holding's actually fit, and just let them just stay there, just have a proper, pairing at the back, so they can build up a relationship. Anyway, what about yourself, Mark? Oh, blimey.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Hello.
Yes, can I phone you back? Sorry, can I phone you back? Bye.
Just shows.
Right. Sorry, what I thought was a change was we got very fast forwards, and for once we were actually moving the ball quicker towards them. You have the fastest forwards in the world, but if it takes you 2 hours to give them the ball, they're not going anywhere. And that 15-minute period, we're actually getting it, moving it quickly forward, and that makes all the difference. I hope they learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, what's your thoughts overall on the match as well, Melvin, in regards to how we played overall, regards to the team, the lineup?
I thought the lineup was very good. I don't want to be too negative, obviously, but just what aggravated me, the first 5 minutes, we had 95% possession, it seemed, and we didn't get in their half. And, when you start off like that, it's very difficult to suddenly get into second gear. We managed it second half, so that was fantastic, because normally if we start slowly, we'd never get any faster. So that was a very big positive, I thought.
That is my positive. That what you've just touched on there. That I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. Although it was a boring, really, really boring first half, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't a absolutely shambolic first half like we were having under Emery, because we were keeping possession a lot more. I mean, we were dominating possession, and what I found positive out of that was we weren't getting all the shots against like we were in all the other matches. Yeah. We weren't conceding shot after shot after shot, and they weren't finding their way through us the same way that other teams were earlier in the season. So that's what I took out of it. And I heard, I can't remember which podcast it was that I was listening to earlier on today. Oh. I listened to them all day, but one of them was one about the fact that we played in a way that Freddie sort of set us up, and we were playing in a way that was quite like, oh, have I frozen again?
No.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, we were playing like a way that Wenger liked to play, Wenger ball in it, but obviously nowhere near as good. We need a lot of work, but we were playing a lot of possession, wearing the other opposition team out. This is the theory anyway that this guy was talking about. We were playing a possession game, we are wearing the other team out over time, and then as soon as we found an opening, we were trying to exploit that opening. And we weren't doing it brilliantly in the first half, but we were keeping possession a lot better, and we were reducing and defending a lot better as a team because the stats bear that out with the shots against, etc. That we were dreadful at earlier on in the season. So yeah, so first half, that's what I generally thought. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, the first half wide lineup was fine. It was just as you said, we had all the ball, but we were doing nothing with it. There was no threat. We weren't testing their goalkeeper until obviously Martinez scored his goal, and it was up till then I was very, very concerned. But it was like what frustrated me more that night is it took up to that equaliser. We weren't getting nowhere, and then as soon as we scored that equaliser for that 10-minute spell, it's something that's clicked, and we were like the Arsenal of years ago under Wenger, as you said, under Wenger, where we had the impetus to put our foot on the throat of the opposition and go for the kill.
Yeah.
And my concern would be if it was against any other opposition that night, I don't see us getting a result. It was just in fact we were going up against a worse team in the league at the moment, but it happened, and it does seem to. We needed. I did say this on my channel on the night. We needed that win. And you could see by the players how much they needed it and how much it meant with Freddie as well. And the players, they all went over to the fans, applauded the fans. And not one of them walked off.
No.
They used to. So as long as we take our chances from that, use this as a springboard now, and then going on to tomorrow night with a must win, and take it on to Sunday. If we start improving now, then I can't complain.
Yeah, I pretty much the same. Do you know? And I think that what is on top of what I said earlier about being the positive side of the first half was, although that we had all the possession and we weren't penetrating and creating a lot of chances, I think that goes down an awful lot to the lack of confidence again, because you saw what that difference that made in the second half as soon as we got that goal. And do you know what? I mean, we'll talk about the individual players a bit later, but Martinelli and the way he took that goal, I think almost the best part about it for me was the way that he just scored the goal. And instead of every right to just go and bask in that and run and slide and do whatever he wanted to do, but he just went and run, picked the ball up and just shows everything about his character. And he picked the ball up, ran back to the centre circle, and we got on with it again. And it just set the tempo from there on in. And we were a different team, as everyone, as you can see. And I think if we go into matches coming up in the same way that we did in the first half, but add all that confidence that we gained from the second half, then we will see a different outcome, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what I did like about his goal as well. What composure he showed.
Oh, amazing.
18 years.
I mean, some of our other forwards can just try and smash it in. It's a defender. He goes everywhere. He knew what he was doing. He's got time on the ball, which shows you what a class player he is.
Mm.
He knew what he was. As the ball came to him, he knew exactly what he was going to do and where he was going to put it.
Yeah.
And the goalie had no chance. Better than
No.
smashing it. And I thought that was brilliant of him. Absolutely brilliant.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And as I said all season, all the goals he has scored this season have been of the ilk of a fully established footballer, not someone who's 18 learning his craft.
No, I know. He's headering as well. Fantastic header of the ball.
I was paying quite close attention to Gabriel Martinelli during that game because I really like him. And for most of that first half, we did have a lot of the possession, but I don't see the point in keeping the ball, moving the ball gradually up the pitch, and then just as you get outside the opposition, just up towards their box, kick it backwards. And I did
on that. I can't stand that.
And I hate that. I don't understand why I'm moving the ball up the pitch only then to take yards off. And I was watching Martinelli quite closely, and I saw one move where we broke up the left-hand side. He had the ball. The ball was given to Martinelli. Tierney made an overlapping run and called for the ball, and then Martinelli, which was very uncharacteristic for him, he kicked the ball backwards. And we sat there in the pub and we looked at each other. And we like, is this what happens then when you come to Arsenal? Like you start to pick up, these bad habits. And then it was about 5 minutes after that he scored the goal, and there was like a sigh of relief. Like, he still wants to get forward. But as Ryan said, if we'd had a better team up against us, we might not have made it to our glory for that last 20 minutes because we might have had the stuffing kicked out of us by a better team. So whatever happened in that last 20, 25 minutes or so, from 60 minutes on, half an hour, whatever it is, Freddie really needs to take a look at that. And that's how the team, they need to take something away from that game. And I really hope all of that hugging and that relief that they showed, I hope that the penny is dropped and that they've gone into training and they've taken that with them and they've looked at how they performed and thought, okay, and they're big enough to hold their hands up and say, we were pretty shit for the first 60 minutes, but we pulled it out of the bag. And if you want to continue to get to where we should be, we have to continue with that last half hour performance.
You know what it's like, Stan? It's like someone took some chains off their shoulders.
Oh yeah,
and released them. It was like chalk and cheese. And don't let them put those chains back. Play with, don't worry about it. Just get on with it. Play without fear, and that's what we have to do because we can't defend, not with this team. So we've actually got to take the ball in the upper half sometimes, with speed. And I think that's how we do all right. I really do. We're not going to be brilliant, but we've got to build on that.
Yeah.
I really think that's what
I've said it so often that, and I want, that we have to attack because that's our strength. We have to play to that strength. And if you can hit a team with a couple of sucker punches very quickly in the first half, we go a couple of goals up, but have the right mentality, like because I know we've won a couple of goals up, in previous matches, and we just threw it away. If we can keep this mentality up, which is the big thing, if we can hit a couple of a team with a couple of quick goals, then their heads drop, and that's a massive part of the our defence by knocking the stuffing out of a team.
Not only that, and sorry. Not only
on.
that, if we break quick, which we can do, and score goals, the other team ain't going to attack us too much either.
Well, no, exactly. Exactly.
So it's a double win. It's a double win.
That's right. We get them intimidated. We make their heads drop, and they suddenly get a bit scared. Yeah, and that's what other teams have been doing to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So exactly what we've got to do, and we've seen so many times this season, unbelievably, that teams are doing that to Man City with pace. Like look what Man United did to them the other week, and that's one thing we've got is pace in abundance. We can exploit them, but we need to go toe to toe with them. And it's quite easy to think that it's a shame that our confidence has just turned as all of our supposed easier games have finished, because now we've got the hard games coming up. But who's to say that we can't? We've got a chance against Chelsea. I think definitely they're going for a bit of a dodgy spell, and so are Man City. So maybe it could be the right time to be facing these teams now. We've turned things around a little bit.
You say that, and I agree, but I think also we're the underdogs now in this game, and that might suit us as well.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point.
That's the thing with Arsenal. Even at the end of Wenger's time, remember the 2017 Cup final, we had no expectation to get that win. No one expected us. We were written off. It's with us. It's when the pressure's not on, we thrive. Our players thrive,
Exactly,
and they play with absolute freedom, and we get results when we least expect it.
Mm.
And as you said, Man City are in a bad state at the moment defensively. I think Sunday is literally going to be a bit of a bygone of Wenger. We score, you score, sort of tactics from both teams, and it's going to be whoever scores the most is going to come out with the win.
I think it could be a fantastic game for us v Man City. I really do. And
well, they're winning right now, 3-1.
But I'm really interested to see what kind of team's going to play tomorrow, because people have been saying that we should just send the full, under 23s team, which I think I said at the beginning of the season that I really wanted the under 23s to be named as our Europa League team, and Steve Bold to go and do all the matches, because I can't, at least for the first stage, because I just don't want to. I'm not interested at all until we get to the quarters, semis in that competition. And if we went out of it, I really wouldn't have cared at the beginning of the season, because if we'd have been able to concentrate purely on the league and keep every time Thursday comes around, if the manager and all the first team players could stop behind and do some extra training for the match on Sunday, then I would have been really happy with that. However, at the beginning of the season, we obviously named the Europa League squad, and there wasn't that many under 23s in it. There was quite a strong squad that was named. So I think we're limited on who we can name tomorrow. And we've only got one left back now. And, well, suppose it's not really a left back either, is he? He's more of a wing back. And he's been playing really well, to be fair to him, lately. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, no, I'm not a lover of him, but I thought actually the last couple of games he's done very well, and he's got forward as well. What I hated about him the last half a dozen games, perhaps even more, he'd get the ball and his first thought in his mind is back, because he's only got 1 foot and he has to come. If they choose for it, if they don't let him on go on the outside, he's got to come inside. That way, he ain't got a right foot, he's got to give it back. And he was doing it before even being shown the inside. That's so disappointing. But on the other night and the game before that, he was actually trying to go forward. First thought, brilliant.
Yeah, he still just doesn't look when he crosses the ball most of the time, which annoys the hell out of me. But he did yesterday, and look what happened with that Martinelli goal. Again, I think these things can actually still be coached if we get the right person involved. If just say, just when they're training, he tries to do something like that and bash a ball into the box without looking. You need a coach to say, stop it there. Let's just rewind a second. What should you have done there? And use that kind of thing with him, because he's got a lot of good attributes, and he's just so frustrating. Isn't he? It's similar with a lot of our players, unfortunately. But
what I don't understand with the squad, we watch him every week or whatever, and we say, what he's going to do, what his faults are, what the centre half's faults are. You can go through every player and go, this one's not actually. Every time he does that, it's wrong. Why is it now we suddenly say, oh, well, they've got to be coached? That should have been done years ago with each player.
Of course. Yeah, I know. And we've wasted 18 months, unfortunately, by getting the wrong guy in. And this is I've said in a couple of podcasts that I've done over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been really concerned about the youngsters like Guendouzi, because they've just got into so much bad habits that are going to be really hard to get out of. And if it had gone on much longer under Emery, then it could have got to a stage where, because this is a really, really critical part of these players' careers, when they're just soaking up all this information and learning how to be a professional footballer. And when you get on so many, it's any walk of life. If you take on a load of bad habits, it's really hard to shake off. And Guendouzi at the moment, this is a good thing about Freddie. He's benched him for the last couple of games, because he shouldn't have been playing so many games as he has. 100%. I love the kid, absolutely, and I'll never knock him. And he's got so much quality. But he just literally just been running around wherever he wants on the pitch with no guidance and no coaching. He's been doing what the hell he wants. And the same could be said of a few of the players. And he's not doing himself any favours at the moment, Guendouzi, because he thinks he's got to put out every fire on all parts of the pitch. And
You break it up.
am I?
I can hear.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, yeah, and the same could be said with all of our youngsters, Saka included, Willock, and if someone could give them the right coaching, then the sky's the limit for these guys. And so I've been really worried about their progress.
I think Guendouzi's kind of having a bit of discipline given to him because I think it was a couple of games back when he got hooked off by Freddie, and then there was a little bit of confusion about who was supposed to come off. And I don't know if you saw the expression on Guendouzi's face when he realised it was him that was coming off. It was almost like, but I'm a senior player. What do you mean I've got to come off? It really come across like that. And Freddie just gesticulated with his arms furiously from the sideline to get off. And I was on a pod the day after that, and I think it was with Ray, and I said we ain't going to see Guendouzi in the starting lineup for a while now because of that. If Freddie's got his head screwed on, we won't see him start. And sure enough, we've not seen him start in 2 games now. And I like that. I think Emery should have been a little bit like that with Guendouzi a little bit earlier on in his career when he's gone in for some crazy tackles and almost cost us, and then been allowed to stay on the pitch and not learn from any mistakes. So I'm kind of glad that Guendouzi is having a little bit of tough love. I
think it's brilliant. I really, really like that about Freddie. He's made a few good decisions as far as that's concerned in the last couple of games.
I mean, his decisions with Pepe were quite controversial, weren't they? You know, a lot of people are going, well, how comes he's not picking Pepe? And then he came out and said that, you know, the lad's not doing what he wants him to do in training and that he's going to speak to him more about it. And a lot of people were pissed off about that. But, you know, he is the guy that's managing the team. If he's on the training pitch and there are certain players, even if they cost £72 million and they're not giving their all, then you don't get into the team on match day. That's the way it's always been. Or should be.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a bit surprised by some of his decisions. I mean, bringing Mustafi in for that one game and then immediately dropping him out of the squad altogether was a bit odd. I know why he did it because because Mustafi's a much better passer of the ball than Socrates, and he's got a bit more pace. But it's just ditched him. And I think the only thing he did wrong in that game really was just he with the goal that it's Southampton, wasn't it? Was it Southampton game that Mustafi played? I think it was.
Yeah.
And he obviously didn't put in the proper challenge, and it ricocheted off him into the goal. And yeah, a bit of bad luck and a bit of bad positioning. But that was the only thing I think he did wrong in that game. But I can't think of anything else he did wrong in that game. But yeah, just to be bombed completely out of the squad again without even being on the bench is a bit odd. But there you go. But
I disagree with that, actually. I think that Mustafi had a lot of these little, Mustafi can have, in a 90-minute game, he can have sort of like 87 really good minutes in that game. But there will be a period where he will make that one mistake. And it always seems to be that he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, there was that one a few games back where he came running in, I think it was in the Europa League, and the ball, and he was trying to do a sliding tackle to clear the ball, and it hit his leg and then hit the post. And it almost went in the net. And, you know, it was that collective, oh, no, not Mustafi again. And I think Freddie's done the right thing. He's come into the club. He's trying to give everybody, I suppose, a clean bill of health. You know, it's a fresh start under a new manager. And he's given Mustafi a go. And he's making those little errors that could have cost the game. And he's dropped him. And I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, but I'll take
more harsh if he didn't bring him back into the fold and just left him frozen out.
Well, I'll take your Mustafi though, and I raise you with Socrates because he makes far more mistakes than Mustafi does.
I fold.
Yeah, well, there you go. He still plays most matches, and you say that out of every 90 minutes, Mustafi's good for 87, and I'll totally, I'll take that. Maybe say 85, but Socrates, you can take that back down to 80 because I think that I'd love to see the stats, but I bet you that he makes so many more mistakes than Mustafi has been vilified for. I don't want to sound like I want Mustafi in the team, right? I just think that it was. I don't want Mustafi anywhere near the team, but I especially also don't want Socrates anywhere near the team personally. I've never rated the guy, and people get swayed by his fist pumping and his, crocodile tears on like yesterday, and slapping the floor and his scowling face, and people just think he's fantastic for that last season, and I think they're blinded by it, by his sort of passion. But he makes so many poor choices and poor mistakes, and he gets away with it virtually scot-free.
You know what I don't like about it? Defender should defend, or I'll give you that, and he's not very good. Neither of them are. But what upsets me with the two of them as well, they slow the play down. They get the ball and they want to be like the greatest ball playing person in the world and give it back. They give it to the left back, to the right back, and the other team are going, well, when you're ready, let us know. That's not the way football should be played, especially from the centre halves. And when we have to get a goal, like it's 1-1 with 10 minutes to go, they don't change. They still play a little bit of football in their own half. That's wrong. They should have a brain to know, you know what, we've got to get this forward. I don't care if they hit it 50 yards and it goes out of touch. Have a go. Don't just keep messing around with it. You know what I mean? That's
exactly why I wanted to buy someone like, a Lewis Dunk or something in the summer, because I'm exactly like that. I just want our defenders to defend. And, I don't want a defender who wants to dribble out, from the box and just try and take it round a few players. I mean, that's not their job. All they need to do is defend and pass it on to someone in midfield. It drives me mad when they just make shit. I mean, what match was that again? They're all moulding into one. I don't know if it was the Brighton game, but where Socrates tried to dribble around someone in the box.
Yes, oh my God, I think it was Brighton. And he lost it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to punch my TV screen. Seriously. What the hell are you doing?
We've got
put it out if you need to.
We've got three senior defenders in the squad, right? Socrates, Luis, and Mustafi. All three of them are no good, as far as I'm concerned. All three of them are errors waiting to happen. But I mean, Freddie was saying, hasn't he, that he feels bad trying to put everything onto the younger players. So Holding's out, so we can't use him. Mavropanos is having a nightmare in the under 23s.
I don't think he's
having a rubbish time apparently. So he's gone with Chambers. At least he's made a big move and he's dropped one of Socrates and Luis. But who else can we put in there? One of them's going to have to play. One of Socrates, Mustafi, and Luis is going to get more game time because we just haven't got enough experience back there.
In the meantime, I would still go with Luis over Socrates because you're still going to get mistakes, but at least you've got that one little added bonus of Luis of being a much better passer of the ball than Socrates is.
I think he reads the game a bit better as well, Andrew.
He does, exactly. He does, Melvin. He does. But I'd like to see Luis partner Torreira at central defensive midfield, personally, rather than our other friend Xhaka.
Well,
his passing is just as good as Xhaka, but his passing is just as good as Xhaka. He's no slower than Xhaka. And I think he's got more defensive nous than Xhaka. So he's a better option, in my opinion.
Plus, he's further away from the goal, so he can't give away any penalties.
Exactly, but he can do his dribbling. He can go off on his run every now and then because let's face it, he is the threat for a goal as well. Yeah. I think he's good for maybe 8 goals a season, maybe 10 if he's in the right position. So I think he's a much better option than Xhaka. I really do. I'm not slating Xhaka, by the way. Anyone listening to this, because he's actually played all right the last few games. He's made a terrible mistake again yesterday. But this is typical of our players, isn't it? I don't want Xhaka in the team either, but at the moment he's playing all right. We haven't got any much better options as it goes. But I do think that Luis and Torreira is worth a try because he actually played all right in the Europa League before he went off with his rib injury in the last round. Luis, he was looking all right. It's a shame we couldn't complete the whole game, but it's an option anyway. But apart from a couple of things, but I thought the team that Ljungberg put out yesterday filled me with a lot of confidence at the beginning of the game. Yes, the first half was a terrible football match, but it was better in lots of ways, like I say. But the second half performance after the first, because I mean, the first 10 minutes of the second half, I think they were worse than the first half, to be perfectly honest. But
They had
then,
a couple of chances actually, West Ham.
yeah,
They could have got 2-0 up.
I mean, West Ham, I thought they were really poor. I mean, they were worse than us, so that was saying a lot. You know,
Yeah.
horrendous.
But we take it. We'll have the confidence from it and move
Yeah.
on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely through it. And let's have a quick talk about Pepe as well, because I've been a big sort of backer of Pepe all season, and yesterday I just really hope that's you could just see what it meant to him, see what it meant to all of his teammates, and what it meant to Ljungberg, and he just looked like a different player, didn't he? Once that ball just flew in, you could just see what kind of player he's going to be for us, hopefully moving forward now. I hope it's going to make him kick on.
Where it helps him, I'm not saying he's without fault, because he has been made bad mistakes when he's been one-on-one a couple of times, Pepe. But what made the difference, I thought, the other night was when he got the ball and then the ball was moving forward with him, rather than standing on the touchline with his back to goal. Someone gives him the ball, he can't do anything with it. He's got one way to go. The other night, he was in another 10 yards from the touchline. He got the ball facing the right way. He's very dangerous.
Yeah, definitely, and you could see the what's that prick's name? It was at left back who went off injured.
Creswell.
That's
Two
it.
red cards, in my opinion.
Well, exactly.
Well,
You could see how petrified he was of Pepe, because that's all he could do.
Disgraceful.
He knew that Pepe was going to rip him to shreds. And you know what? The second one, where he went off injured, he was injured before, and he knew that he was going to go off. He knew that he was going to get taken off injured, so he did that to Pepe before he went off. He thought, I've got fuck all to lose now, so I'm going to give him one last dig to try and get him out.
I remember that next time we play him.
Oh, he's a dirty bastard, he is, honestly. But but the reason he was doing that to Pepe is that he knew that he was going to rip him to shreds. And that Pepe's unfortunately going to have to get used to it, because the same as Grealish, he gets kicked more than anyone else as well. Zaha, they're all the same, aren't they? As soon as they see a threat, they just get kicked. And unfortunately, Pepe's going to have to get used to it. But he seems like he's got, good resilience. To be fair to him, he gets on with it.
I
was about to say that, because literally every time the two challenges we mentioned, and there's other challenges in that match as well, for a new player to come into this league, you've seen other players in the years gone by take them challenges and go into their shadow.
Yeah,
and affect them.
Yeah.
For the whole match, he didn't let it affect him. He just got up, dusted himself down, and continued. And it paid off, because he got the goal and the assist that won us the game. It's
good to see. Yeah, I'm quite pleased about that with regards to Pepe, because he seems to have quite a strong character. And one last person I just want to single out is, we mentioned him earlier, but Martinelli. And I've put a couple of tweets out there over the last couple of days. I genuinely think as far as I'm concerned, he is our most valuable player in our squad, over and above Aubameyang, Lacazette, everyone, because of his ceiling. Not only how good he is now, but I genuinely think he could be whatever he wants to be in this game. And he's been preparing to be a professional footballer with his family. You probably all read the stories, since he was about 14. His parents, out of their own money, they bought a nutritionist, a trainer, and everything to start his preparing him for a life to be a footballer from the age of 13, 14. And the benefit he's had is he hadn't gone to a big club and gone through their academy. He's learnt the hard way by playing in the 4th division against real men from a really young age. And he's tough. He's got everything. I don't think there's anything from with Martinelli, apart from experience, that he's missing at the moment. He's got it all.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of a mixture of like a little bit of Ronaldo mixed with a little bit of Tevez for me, and maybe a little bit of Luis Suarez about him as well. He's got a good mixture about.
Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez as well. Yeah, he's got the arrogance, hasn't he? He's got the arrogance of Sanchez as well. He whoever he comes up against, he's not intimidated in the slightest, is he? No. It's like he's been playing at this level for years. And if there's one player, well, him and Guendouzi's got a lot of faults, but I think he's got a massively good high ceiling as well. But Martinelli above everyone else for me. I think we need to really look after that kid because in a couple of years' time he could be a Ballon d'Or contender, I reckon.
You just said the thing. Sorry, apologise. You just said the thing. Look after him. We've got to look after him. We mustn't play him every game.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. But I'm really, really glad. Excuse me, he's getting his chance to start a couple of games. He shouldn't play every game, no, but I'm really, really pleased about that with Freddie, that he's given him his chance to start a Premier League match, and look how he got repaid in the end as well. Because even in the first half, he was still putting a shift in, even though a lot of other players weren't, and he was still tracking back. I mean, he tracked players back right to our box, didn't he? Quite often. He won't let go. He's like a little terrier. And yeah, I mean, I'm so impressed with him. I have been since the first time I saw him in the pre-season against Fiorentina, when he nearly scored that goal. Same as the Son goal at the weekend.
Yes, when he ran through all the way. Yeah,
he nearly scored that, didn't he, against Fiorentina?
Yeah.
What I mean, that was so exciting.
And we look at the amount of experience that we had on that pitch. I mean, we've got one player on the pitch who's on 350 grand a week, and it took Martinelli to basically get us out of the shit and to give the team a kick up its arse and to give us a little bit of momentum to go on and actually win that game. And that's a very good trait to have. And I've noticed in some of the Europa games where he started for 90 minutes, there was one where he scored quite early on in the game, right near the beginning in the game. And then at the end of the game, he scored his second goal, sort of like in the 86th, 7th minute, which tells me that from start to finish, that guy goes from whistle to whistle. He just doesn't give up. He don't score his goal early and then take the rest of the game off and think, well, I've done my bit. He goes right to the final minute, and I love that about him.
Well, you're on about the one where he curled it in, like the second goal.
That's like the box, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in injury time.
That's right.
Even better, yeah, absolutely amazing. He's got it all as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, and you know full well, and I've mentioned this, you know full well that the vultures are going to be circling around him, and if we do not finish the season particularly well, say we finish 10th, 12th, God forbid, and we don't get into the Champions League via the Europa League, because, I mean, the chances of that got slimmer after last night because Inter and Ajax, that's it. They've dropped down into the Europa League, so that's made our chances even less in that competition now. In fact, I would be quite happy to make a complete U-turn from what I said earlier as well this season now, because we've been so bad this season in the Premier League. Maybe we do use the Premier League as a bit more of a training ground and really go all out to try and win the Europa League this year, maybe.
Let's get a few points first, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got a few hard games coming up, as we know, but I'm a little bit more confident than I was.
So you mean we get relegated down into the Championship, but we qualify for the
Europe?
Someone else make that joke. I think Fulham or Middlesbrough.
Champions League.
Fulham or Middlesbrough, I think it was, that got to the final and got relegated in the same season.
I think it's Middlesbrough, yeah. No, Wigan.
Was it Wigan? Did they get to the final?
No,
They won it.
No, they won the FA Cup final.
Won the FA Cup, yeah.
No, I'm on about the Europa League.
Fulham did well, that's right. Fulham was.
Yeah, and they one of them, either them or Middlesbrough, got relegated the same season.
You just mentioned
Middlesbrough.
Ozil, right? Is it my imagination, or does he now slow us up?
No, I don't think he does personally. No, I think he speeds up our final third play because he never loses the ball, and I think it looks like he does because if the right pass isn't on, he holds on to it for that little bit longer until the right pass is on. Yeah. I think he's very valuable. And the trouble is with him and Xhaka, in player ratings at the end of the matches, you get obviously rated out of 10, and everyone starts off on 5. That's the standard. You start off on 5, and you'll either go up or down depending on your performance. Well, I think, unfortunately, for Xhaka and Ozil, they start on 2. And everyone else starts on 5 because of the preconceptions of everyone. Then they're not going to get away with that because out of that situation because everyone hates them. But
that's brought on by themselves, right? That's brought on by their attitude on the pitch, their lack of commitment. I'm sorry, but if you're going to talk about Mesut Ozil, yes, he does get a lot of grief, but he brings a lot of it on himself.
Yeah, he has done in the past, but I don't think he does it all the time. But I think people tar him with it all the time. If we don't play well, it's Ozil's fault because you played that day. And I'm don't get me wrong, you can listen to. I'm not an Ozil fanboy. I'm not. But I think in some cases he does need a little bit of backing up because I've never been his biggest fan. I've slated him when he needed slating, but in some occasions he needs backing up as well because I think it's a bit unfair. That's all I'll say on that because I think he's played all right. He played shit in the first half, but everyone else played shit in the first half apart from a couple of exceptions yesterday. But I think when we started clicking, a lot of it was down to him because he very, very rarely loses the ball. And you've got to admit that. If you rewatch the games, you will notice that he just doesn't. When he misplaces a pass, it's because it's a really difficult pass that would have probably been very much a goal scoring opportunity if it had come off. I'd rather him try that sort of thing than not. But most of the time, he knocks the ball around and he keeps the flow of the game perfectly and he keeps us attacking. And for that reason, I don't think he does slow our game down at all. No.
I've never seen him in a game where we've been struggling. And let's be fair, right? Most of this season we have been struggling, and a lot of last season. And I've never seen Mesut Ozil be the one to go, for fuck's sake, and grab the game by the scruff of the neck and pull the team through and make something happen. He's the sort of guy that if he sat on the bench for a game and we were losing 3-0, why would you bring on Mesut Ozil? If the team is playing shit, Mesut Ozil will play shit. He doesn't have his own individual aura around him where he thinks like, I don't care if the rest of the team is shit. I'm going to play to the level that I can play at, and we will get something out of this game. And I was when we signed Mesut Ozil, I sat up. I was like, wow, we've just signed Mesut Ozil. I never saw him play a lot because I don't follow Spanish football, but I'm aware of his reputation and the stature that he has in the game. And I'm aware of all of the stats that for years were saying, the top assister in all of the leagues in Europe. I just have not seen the consistency for the person of the stature that he's supposed to have. And for me, I wish he'd gone in the same window with Alexis Sanchez.
I wish we'd kept Alexis Sanchez and got rid of Ozil, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, if you like, yeah.
Because I think he could still imagine him on the left now with Pepe on the right.
Yeah.
No, I don't agree with that either. I just think that we were lucky that we sold Sanchez when we did. His form had fallen off a cliff long before we sold him. His attitude around other players, he's the sort of guy that you go into the canteen and you've got groups of players sat at tables, and there's Sanchez sat on his own, eating by himself with his headphones in, with that kind of aura around him saying, "Don't come and sit at my table." That's not the sort of guy you want around.
He was a great player. He was one of our only world-class players over the last few years. I was on another podcast the other day, the Arse Brothers podcast, and they said, who's your player of the decade for Arsenal? And I said, without question, it's Alexis Sanchez, because he's the one player I'd love to watch, and he got me out of my seat really excited. He had his faults, of course. He had a massive ego. But I loved watching him play. I tell you, he was a very exciting player, and it was after a period of time where we tried to walk. It was so frustrating. We were trying to walk the ball into the goal all the time. No one had a shot. We were ticky-tacking around the box, and I kept saying, "Shoot, just fucking shoot!" And no one was shooting. And then Alexis Sanchez comes along, and he was the type of player that grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. But I don't think Mesut Ozil ever has been the type of player that would grab a game by the scruff of the neck. It has to be going well for when the team that he's in is playing well. Mesut Ozil shines and he plays really well. When the team he's in is having a bad day, he has a bad day.
But then that's a Goldilocks player, isn't it? You're saying that the point has to be just right in order for Mesut.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the reason. I'm not his biggest fan. I never have been. Never have been. But I just think that when on occasions you've got to, if you can only see what I see, and if we're playing he's backing up, I'll back him up. But if you're playing if he's having a shit time and he's dragging us down, I'll tell you he's having a shit time and dragging us down. And he needs to not play. But on occasions, I just think he gets a bit of armchair treatment. That's all.
I don't think our style of play, the way we've been playing the last couple of years, suits him. That's not really because he would be better in the team of, if he played for Leicester, for example, that break quickly, or Liverpool, if you like, that break quickly, he'd be a phenomenal player. But when we get up to the edge of the box, he's got 10 defenders in front of him, and you've got like an inch to put a ball through. That's not his. That's no one's game.
No,
And I think
he hasn't had a run of games in the last couple of years either to actually prove what he can do. I've said this loads of times. A player always needs a run of games to start showing what they can do, to get up to speed and to get match fitness and to get your sharpness and to get your form. And he's never had that, has he? Well, when has he ever had a run of games over the last 2 years?
Cold, or he's got his sore back, or it's too cold, or he's missed a lot of games. And a lot of the times I look at him and think, like, are you really as ill as you're making out? Do you know what I mean? And then that night you see him on Twitch playing Fortnite, saying, "Come on, everybody, subscribe to my Twitch channel." I don't buy it.
Exactly. But again, playing devil's advocate with all these bad backs, blah, 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 has that actually come from him? Is he said, "Oh, I can't play today"? Or has it come from the boss because they don't like him? I don't know. We'll never know, will we? We'll never know.
Aaron Ramsey when a couple of seasons back, and they were interviewing him, and they were asking him a load of really quick fire questions. Like, what's your favourite colour? What's your favourite kind of food? And one of the questions was, is there an interview there? And he said, as quick as a flash, he said, "Yeah, Meza, he's always in Arsenal's office, always in there." So, I mean...
Oh, Arsene loved him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Exactly. So did it come from Arsene?
Well, he's
been mollycoddled for me. He's been mollycoddled.
I can't deny that. Absolutely, 100%.
I have a question then for all of you then, okay? If Mesut Ozil's contract was running out, say, in the next 6 months, would you offer him a renewed contract on exactly the money that he is on? Or if he would take us a contract, say, for 100 grand less, would you keep him? Or would you do everything in your power to move him on and bring someone else in?
Yeah, move him on, obviously.
Say again, Melvin?
Can I start, Stan? I would move him on and break the bank for Jack Grealish.
I wouldn't disagree with that at the moment at all. 100%. 100%. Well,
I'm saying the same here. I'd move him on. And
so no one here would keep him then, even if he wanted to take money.
No. But I think whilst we've got him, because let's face facts, we've got him for another 18 months. So of course you want to play him. Because otherwise you've got 350 grand just literally just going down the drain. But whilst you've got the guy, you play him because we've 100%, we've got no one better in that position. He's still on if he's bang on form, bang fit, he's still one of our best players. You can't get away from that. So you would, of course, you make the most, because we're not going to sell him. Let's face facts. We're not going to sell him for 18 months. He's going to still be here until his contract runs out. So we've got to make use of him. But go back to one thing that you said, and we'll need to get off this Mesut Ozil conversation. But one last thing, he's not the kind of player that you would ever bring off the bench either. You either start him or you just leave him out that match day squad. In my opinion, I don't think he's ever been an impact sub anywhere he's ever played in his career. I can't think of one sort of case study that you could say that he's made an impact coming off the bench anywhere. He's always started or he's not played. And I think that he's that type of player.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But there you go. Anyway, changing the subject, and let's move on to the manager situation. I put out a poll yesterday because I heard from this Italian press yesterday morning about Carlo Ancelotti apparently leaving after the Champions League game yesterday, and he was going to get on a plane, come over, and he'd be our manager by the weekend. And I put out a poll: Ancelotti yes or Ancelotti no, and it's just finished, and it got over 1,000 votes, which I'm pleased with. Ancelotti yes 58%, Ancelotti no 42%. So let's go round. Let's start with you, Ryan, this time. What's your thoughts if that's going to be just for argument's sake that's true? What's your thoughts?
For the argument's sake, if it's again, it sounds like if that's the case, it would be a 2-3 year thing. Getting leadership, tactically get our players and the club itself in a place where whoever comes in afterwards inherits a good defensively sound team that can also attack. He's proven. He's proven his career, 3 Champions League titles, numerous leagues. He's proven in the Premier League as well with Chelsea. He's nothing. He's managed at Real Madrid, so he can manage the big egos. It's not like with Emery. He managed egos at PSG, backfired, and then tried to manage Mesut's ego, and it backfired. Whereas Ancelotti had that respect, I think. I'll get if it happened, I'd get behind it because we've been asking for an experienced coach at the end of the day, and you can't get more experience at the moment than Carlo Ancelotti. Out of all the list of players, the list of managers we've been linked with, ideally, I would want my top 2 choices, as I said on my channel, are Allegri and Poch. But and Ancelotti, I can't complain. He's last when this job came available last time. He was coach of Napoli at the time as well. He came up publicly and said that I want the job. He was begging for us to come and get him. And again, it sounds like he wants this job. But apparently, if you believe in what the media say, we apparently don't have the finances to support something like that. We are.
That's just bollocks.
That's what I'm saying. No matter what media say, we are globally a big club. The pool we have globally, no matter how bad we are at the moment in the league, that's what we are globally. So the money is there.
Of course it is. Don't believe anything about that. It's rubbish.
Look at the wages that Wenger was on near the end of his time. It was like, what was it, 8-10 mil a year?
Yeah.
It's like, and you got literally. It sort of frustrates me. People actually still to this day believe what the media say. If one media person says it, like Ornstein, who gets everything wrong now all of a sudden since Wenger's left, they all jump on it. They all have a breakdown over it. I'm like, no, take a step back. Look what he said before. This is a guy also, Ornstein, who said back in the summer, Pepe, no, not happening. This was like 2 days before we had the confirmation from an Italian media guy. I can't remember his name.
I think Fabrizio Romano.
That's the guy.
He's the one that I got that information off yesterday.
Yeah, and even then, after Fabrizio confirmed it, Ornstein's coming out. No, it's all rubbish. No, doesn't know what he's talking about. And look what happened. And it's not the first time. It's Torreira again, the season before. No truth in it. Absolute rubbish. We go and sign him. Ornstein has not a clue what goes into our club anymore.
Well, that's why I was quite convinced yesterday, because of a lot of that guy's reports do turn out to be true. That's what made me think. What about you, Melvin?
It wouldn't be my first choice, but I think he'll bring discipline to the club. He's a decent manager, more than decent, and I think that he knows his way around. So no, as I say, there's other people I'd like in front of him. But if that's who we get, then I go, you know what, let's go with it. Yeah, let's get behind him and go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Stan?
I was reading that he's going to speak to Everton. And from what I can see, it seems like other managers are using Arsenal to get leverage. I mean, Brendan Rodgers got a new contract on the back of all those rumours, a nice fat contract. Someone like Ancelotti, I think we need someone, and I don't know if it's Ancelotti or not, but I think we need to bring someone in. We are still a big club, but we need someone that's going to come in and make us attractive again over a 2-year period to make this club really sexy and attractive again. And that means getting us back into the Champions League and then being able to attract top quality players. And then that person can hand over the team to a top quality elite manager. And maybe by then we will be able to afford to bring in that kind of manager, because I believe that we're not going to get the manager that we need. We will get the manager that we can afford, stroke how much the people upstairs are prepared to spend. Whether we can afford it or not, it's about how much they want to spend. And I think they've probably got a figure in their head. I think Emery was getting about half of what Wenger was getting. And I think that they want to probably keep their spending in and around that area. And again, I'm just guessing at this. This is just how they make me feel with the kind of actions and the kind of things that they do and say. But I would take Ancelotti, and I think he would make the club attractive again.
You put your hand up, Melvin, then?
I don't believe this rubbish about we can't afford it. And you're saying, Stan, that in a few years we will be able to afford it. What's going to change? Our sponsorship deals have gone up so much the last 3 years. I don't know how they can spend the money if they want to. We've got people through the gates every week. You've got people buying merchandise. The only difference is we don't have the European, the Championship money coming in. But where are we going to get this extra money from? We're earning a lot of money as a club. A lot of money comes into our bank account. So 3 years down the line, if this owner ain't spending it now, then he's never going to spend it. He'll always have an excuse.
Just on our home games alone, we make £3 million per game. Just on our, that's why we moved to the Emirates, and that's the fact. We make £3 million per home game. So it's just we're still in the top 10 richest clubs in the world. So if anyone tells me that we can't afford a manager, then they're just talking out their arse. So just think.
Sorry. It's not that we can't, as I said, that we can't afford stroke prepared to spend. I mean, look what happened with Kieran Tierney. Celtic wanted 25 million from him, and we've done everything to try to lowball them on the figure. And then when we couldn't lowball them on the figure, we went back about 3 times with different kinds of payment structures. We had the 25 million. If we really wanted that player, we should have just paid the 25 million and got him. I'm not saying that we're skint as a club, because we are a rich club, but they seem to be very miserly in a way that they want to distribute their funds. The same with Pepe. We've got the 72 million to buy Pepe outright if we wanted to, but we structured the payments in a way that suits the way Arsenal likes to spend money.
I'm not being funny.
You can't blame them for doing that, though, can you?
Sorry?
You can't blame the Arsenal for doing it over 6 years.
Can I say, I think that every club, apart from maybe 2, 3, 4 clubs in the world, I think every club does what Arsenal do, what you just explained, Stan. Every club would do something. You would try and get the best deal, and you would try and work it out so that you can manage your money over a certain period of time. And I just think it's the way when Arsenal do it, they get fucking reported as doing that, when no other club does. The media have always had this agenda against us. I don't know why they report it, but they actually put in their headlines, Arsenal makes, an offer for so-and-so in instalments.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you know what? Andrew, you know why it started? Because of the bloody Liverpool thing with Suarez. We made ourselves look really stupid for doing that.
Yeah, I know.
I remember the Bolton manager? Cahill. We bid some stupid amount for Cahill when we wanted a centre half for 4 years. There's a decent centre half, Cahill. I think he went for 8 million. Was it to Chelsea?
Yeah, that was so frustrating.
The manager came out that Arsenal made a ridiculous offer. So I think it's just been a culmination of things going through the years with us.
It's I think it's been going on longer than that, but I think that there's a couple of high-profile things that you mentioned, and that completely agree. But it's just always been going on with Arsenal for some reason. I don't know why. But I think every club, Stan, make offers the way you do. Why wouldn't they try and save a bit of money here and there? But it's only us that they report it like that. It just drives me mad. Anyway,
I don't think that whoever they appoint, as I say, it might not be the person that we need. The key factor for their decision, it will be pounds, shillings, and pence, and that's probably why we've got a bigger chance of getting Arteta than all of the other people that have been mentioned. I just seen yesterday that they've interviewed the guy from Bordeaux. What's his name? Paulo Sousa. I know nothing about him, so I'm not going to slate the guy. But that's where they're looking, and the guy from Valencia. It's going to be down to how much that the club are prepared to pay. Even though we can afford a top manager, we can afford it, but we ain't getting Simeone. Simeone costs more than what Mourinho's on. He's the second highest paid manager in the world. We will not pay the money for Simeone. It won't happen.
I've changed my mind on Simeone. He used to be my favourite when Arsene Wenger was leaving. I really wanted him, but I've changed my mind on him completely now. But I'll tell you what, if we appointed Paulo Sousa, I would take a sabbatical for however long it would take till he left, because he's had 9 clubs in the last 10 years, and he's had no success at any of them.
Wow.
absolute joke. Absolute. He's like he's managed pretty much. He's managed loads of clubs in England.
Well, I've read that he's actually had an interview. He's been to the club and been interviewed.
Yeah, that was on Ask
Arsenal.
Blog. I know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. And the same with that guy from Valencia as well. No chance.
You can't tell me that they're not looking at those two people of that ilk, and that's not down to finances and how much the club's prepared to spend. Not whether we can afford it, but what they are prepared to actually go out and release. That's why they're looking at these kind of people.
Well, Stan, don't you? Sorry, I apologize.
Sorry, no, go on, Melvin. Go on.
Sorry, Stan, don't you think that these directors, stroke the other guys, Raoul and people like that, they're supposed to be businessmen? Yeah. Don't you think they realise if they buy and get another manager that's not up to it, it's going to cost the club a lot more money in the long run?
You'd think so.
You'd think exactly. You'd think so. You know, if you know you get a manager for 10 million a year over a 5-year period, 50 million, that's nothing in the big scheme of things of what that manager can do, right? You know, we're hitting 35 million for Mustafi, but we don't want to pay over 5 years a manager for 50 million. So you get another, second-rate manager in, and we'd be in a worse position in 2 years' time. What are they doing, these guys? They're supposed to be cleverer than us.
They're supposed to be clever, and if they were clever, when they finally pulled the trigger on Emery, why didn't they just do it a week and a half earlier during that interlude period where there was more of a bedding in time to get someone to come in, you know, to someone to speak with the players and you know, make themselves the first team coach? Because they're supposed to be very astute business people, but what we see from them looks otherwise to me. They don't look like astute business people.
Well, we don't know though. It's just the problem with Arsenal is we always take our time over everything. We always have, haven't we? You know, like the Tierney transfer as well. Like I said, it just went on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It was just frustrating.
How can Arsenal be beholden to a club like Celtic? I mean, for fuck's sake! I mean, what's going on there? They've basically had us dancing to their tune, man, all the way through that Tierney thing. We had no control in that negotiation whatsoever.
My take on this Ancelotti thing, my ideal candidate in this period would be Rafa Benitez. I've said that loads of times. I said that at the end of last season. And I'd love to get Benitez in, but he's going to cost us 20 million quid, so that's a no-go. I don't think he will pay that. And I think that what I said was my ideal thing would be if we got Benitez for 18 months to work alongside Ljungberg, to train him, to finish off his tutoring, his education. So then ideally Ljungberg could then take over after that. So if we could have him for the rest of this season and all next season. And now, if this Ancelotti thing's true, it's a similar boss, really, isn't it? I'd love it if we could do that same sort of thing with Ljungberg working alongside Ancelotti. I mean, what a tutor!
Did you watch the West Ham game? Did you watch before the West Ham game when Benitez was on?
Yeah,
I thought he was auditioning for the job myself.
Well, I wish he was.
Did you see what he was doing when he was explaining about the body? How you got to turn your body.
I didn't see it.
I thought that was very good. That
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He would be perfect for us because he plays to the players' strengths. Like he said, he explained it all, didn't he? And the way that he played with, because he had some criticism about how he set up with Newcastle, and he said, "Well, look, he couldn't go out and transform the squad, so he worked out what players he had and what they're best at, and he worked to their strengths, and he set up and played to their strengths. That is how can you get more perfect than that for Arsenal at the moment without overhauling our squad top to bottom?
That's the most I've seen him talk, and I thought he's very impressive.
I did, and I'm just absolutely gutted that it will cost us so much, and I don't think they would do that. I really don't. But he would be the perfect manager in this period of our history. And what we need with this squad, he would get us set up and to not lose games, but also play to the strength of the squad. He mentioned that himself in everything he talked about, and working with how much would he love to work with our front 3 or 4 players? He's never had that for years. Anywhere he's been, he would absolutely love to work with Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, all that. Oh, it's just depressing. He would be my perfect thing. But with Ancelotti in this situation, it would cost them nothing now because he's left Napoli. He would be a similar, because all the players that work under Ancelotti love him. I don't know how he is on the training ground now. He's getting on a bit, obviously, as for a coach.
Did you see the comments from Aaron Robin? He said that he talked about training under Ancelotti. He said that his son could give better training sessions than Ancelotti.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Training sessions were boring. He feels, and I can't remember, but the one bit I remember was saying, like, my little kid, my son could give better lessons. So he had some damning reports from a few players talking about his training sessions, and also Mikel Arteta as well. I saw a few people talking about when he's been left in charge of the training sessions that it's been very dreary, and when he has run the actual team in a game, that the way that they performed was quite boring and lethargic looking.
I wonder whether Ian Robin was going through a period of having been dropped by Ancelotti when he said that, maybe. I don't know. You never know, yeah. I mean, that's unusual because a lot of the players that have worked under him do like him. Mm. But I'm just thinking whether, because we can get him for free, maybe it would be a good option to do something similar, because I can tell you now, I'm sure that the club will not get rid of Ljungberg. They rate him very highly. Mm. So, and I'm pretty sure that it'll be a part of the deal with whoever takes this job, that Ljungberg will be the assistant. They'll have to agree to that, I'm sure.
What I think will be a mistake for us if we accept the manager for 18 months, like you're suggesting.
I don't think he'll take it for that, personally, but I'm just thinking that would be an ideal situation.
Yeah, but I understand that. The problem is, if it's 1.5, 2.5, whatever, the board are not going to back the new manager because he's only going to be here a few years. We don't want that. We want an open. No manager lasts forever.
They don't do that, though. They don't do that. It's a head coach coming in, whoever it is. So they've got no say over the players. This is the way we're setting up behind the scenes to be like a more modern club, whereby we've got a team of people behind the scenes who will identify and buy the players that they want, and the manager will get what they're given. So whoever it is, whether it's Ancelotti, whether it's Allegri, whoever, they've got to agree to that, because we're not going to take a shopping list of any managers. So it's not going to bother. That doesn't matter. This is why we are setting up to have a head coach, so that whenever we do sack a coach, it's not going to affect the team, the club at all. It's just getting someone else in to coach those same set of players again. So I don't think it matters in that respect.
What is disappointing, you spoke about 20 million being too dear, and you might be right, you might be wrong, but I just think that we let Sanchez go for no money, basically. We could have had 60 million on the table 2 years ago. So what's 60 million just throw away like that? You've got Ramsey again. You could have got 30, 40 million for him.
Oh, more than that. Yeah, I know. It's
million, and we're worried about 20 million.
I know, mate. I had this conversation last week on the Arse Brothers podcast as well about when we're making this choice on a manager. And at the time, Brendan Rodgers hadn't signed his new contract. He just had that press conference where he accidentally on purpose let the information slip that he got a release clause. And it's like almost he was like showing us his tushy, saying, come and get me. But I still think a long term he'd be absolutely perfect. But I'm being realistic. I haven't mentioned him because he's obviously signed his new contract. And at the same time, you think, well, why at this stage would he leave? Even though we're a bigger club, we're the Arsenal. But at the moment, he's got it perfect there, and they'll just he just click his fingers. They'll do whatever he wants over at Leicester, and they're in a good place. And I don't think they should ever be underestimated, because they're not one season wonders at Leicester. They've been working really hard behind the scenes for quite a few years now, and they've got this new training ground that it's state of the art. It's going to be the best in the world. It's going to be opening in a year or so, and they're really the owners there. They're very, very rich people, but they haven't got other interests. Leicester is their interest. So they're going to put everything into that. And I think they're going to be a force for years to come, personally. So, yeah, he's in a good place at the moment. But I said at the time when it was reported that he had a release clause of anything between 12 and 14 million, depending on where you read it. And I said, well, why wouldn't you just go out and buy that? Because I used the same example as you, Melvin, about Mustafi. I said, we could have, for the same price as Mustafi, we could have paid off Emery and all his backroom staff and got in Brendan Rodgers for the same, less money probably for 35 million. And what's more important, buying a squad player or buying a manager that could transform your club for years to come? I totally agree. But I just don't think. Same with Stan. I just don't know whether they would. I really, really hope that they would. I really hope they'll just get the right man, no matter what it costs. But I'm not sure that they yet to prove themselves as far as that's concerned. They got Pepe, yes, but they can't play in installments for a manager. So I don't know. It's yet to be proven, but I'd love to be proven wrong, and that they do go and get someone like Rafa Benitez, who I do think would be absolutely ideal for us in our current situation. But time will tell. But Arteta, for me, no. I'd rather go for Vieira, if anything, because at least he's got some experience. And people are slating Vieira's managerial record. Actually, if you delve deeper and look into it, it's actually really quite good. And he plays lovely football, and he's letting it's a very good, strong defensive team, but also they're very attractive and attacking. So strong at the back, and I think he'd be a much better option than Arteta, and it would excite me more as a fan.
If we can't get him as manager, I'd like to buy him for a midfielder.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I'll tell you one last point I want to make actually is the recruitment team. I think there's so many good recruiters out there that we should be looking at as well that are working for other clubs, like the Norwich guy, Stuart Webster, the guy I can't remember his name, the one at Leicester. He won't probably leave, but he's amazing recruitment that they do. And there is out there somewhere, no one can say that there is not a Patrick Vieira playing out there somewhere, and we've never replaced him. As we all know, we always say the same thing. We've got to find someone that can go out and find us a Patrick Vieira and Gilberto Silva. It's been promising about Martinelli. That's an amazing find. That's like a needle in the haystack situation. Yeah. But if we can get someone that can go out and find a couple of Ndidis or whatever, then we desperately need that as well. And I think, unfortunately, we lost that. We lost one good guy, didn't we? In Sven Mislintat. He was very promising. I think we should really try and find a good guy like Stuart Webster from Norwich, someone along those lines who can really, really go out and find us some gems in the rough. I think that would be really important as well.
I mean, going back to Leicester, they got some fabulous finds. I mean, Maddison was a fantastic signing.
Yeah,
and he came from Norwich anyway, didn't he?
He did.
The same guy that got him. But I'll tell you who I'm really impressed with, who goes under the radar, is that right back they got, Leicester. I think he's quality.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, he's like a Mahrez type player from right back.
Yeah, what a player. And yet you've never heard of him before. So he's not too bad.
Pereira, did you say? Pereira, yeah. Yeah, I know. Very good player. But indeed, he came. I think I'm right in saying he came through their academy. Indeed. But, I mean, what a player he is at 22.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, what's he going to be worth in the current? So Chilwell came through their academy as well.
Yeah.
But what a shame about Tierney the other day. I didn't mention that. Oh my God, I was so gutted for the guy. Absolutely gutted for him. You see it in his face. I think he wanted to he was so pissed off, wasn't he, and distressed. What a shame. I mean, he's going to be out apparently on our blog. I think he says about 3 months.
Yes, that'd be 4 years then, wouldn't it?
Bloody hell. I really do feel for the kid though, but also I feel for everyone connected with Arsenal because he's a great player.
So he will be one of those players that when we get a new coach, you'll see another player, and he's good anyway. He go to another level. I really think that.
Oh,
I think it could be really good, Tierney.
Sorry, I said because I was just reading. That's strange. Yeah, but it's definitely our live, Ryan. I can't be asked to type it back, but yes, we are.
I typed that because I've just got someone messaging.
Oh, was it you? Sorry.
I thought his name. Yeah. Simon the Mank is messaging me saying, I can't find you guys anywhere. And I just went to the channel on YouTube, and it's not streaming live.
Yeah, it should be. It's all set up, all fine.
It says in the live comment section.
I'm looking at the YouTube channel, and there's nothing going on.
How weird.
YouTube doesn't support comments on private videos. You made this private.
No.
It's set up.
This isn't streaming live now, I don't think. But I'm enjoying it.
Anyway, either way, it's going to go on YouTube, but I can't understand how that would have happened. But anyway, just going to finish up with a couple of things. I mean, going back just very briefly to the Ancelotti situation. Express Sport tweeted, which is the Daily Express for God's sake, but at the Express_Sport, Arsenal fans are pleading for Carlo Ancelotti to take over from Unai Emery. I mean, where did they get this stuff from? Seriously, are any of us pleading?
Is that what we're doing? Is it okay?
Well, they knocked on my door and asked me. They knocked on my door last night and asked me. I told them what I thought.
Oh, I did that. Oh, yeah. Fair play, Melvin. I'm sure they did. You know, very prestigious fan. And Harry Symeou. Harry Symeou, obviously we all know who he is from Chronicles of Gooner, former guest on the show as well. Imagine having watched and supported Unai Emery Emery's team for 18 months and then turn your nose up at Carlo Ancelotti.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I do get what he means, but again, is he 10 years too late? That's all I'm worried about a little bit. Is he 10 years too late as a manager? Time will tell, I guess. But people slating him for being sacked at Napoli recently, I honestly don't think that people actually just take a few minutes just to read into what's actually happening at Napoli at the moment. What's been going on there the last few months. I mean, can you honestly blame Ancelotti for anything that's been going on there? I mean, all the players having to hire their own bodyguards from the fans and everything, and you know, because they're all going on strike. The players might be sued by the owner of the club because they turned down going on that boot camp thing, where it's basically being called being on detention. After a match, they were ordered to go and train basically like an open prison type thing. Sorry, Stan.
I thought it was like a bonding sort of street thing they were going on, right? And none of them. They get taken straight away after the match without going home to see their families or anything, and it's like they call it detention camp. It translates to in English apparently, and they don't get a chance to go home first or anything. They just get taken off there for a week, and it's solid training away from their families and friends.
They do get an hour off a day, and they can watch videos of the old Arsenal games this year.
Bloody hell. Well, I didn't realise it was that bad a punishment, to be perfectly honest. So, from Arsenal games from under the Unai Emery era.
That's right,
yeah. All the highlights. Well, to be fair, it wouldn't last an hour, would it?
That's true. Be slow motion.
Super slow.
It'll be the same thing on repeat.
You see the reports that Everton are going to talk to Unai Emery about the job there.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, oh my God, can you imagine being an Everton fan? You'd be over the moon, wouldn't you?
Imagine if Everton finish above us with him as the manager.
Oh God, yeah. And if Iwobi and Walcott start finding their form, start
over
20 goals in,
that happens.
You know, Emery actually resigned 3 times a couple of months ago. But they couldn't understand what he said.
That's very naughty, Melvin.
Sorry,
oh my God.
I'll get my coat.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, bloody hell. It's just going, well, at least we've got a black dark humour. That's it. Sorry, go again.
Talked about was the rumours over the last week about first of all it was Real Madrid were going to give us 60 million and James Rodriguez for Aubameyang, and then it was Real Madrid are going to give us 30 million plus Jovic and James Rodriguez for Aubameyang, and then they wanted to give us a Ford Focus with a roof rack and maybe a Terry's orange. I don't know what's going on here about Aubameyang. I mean, he's staying, he's going. I mean, what do you make of all this Aubameyang stuff?
It's a tough one, because if there's one of our forward players, well, I'm taking Martinelli out of this, but I don't see at the moment how it makes any financial sense to get rid of Aubameyang for, even if we get 60, 70 million, because who else is scoring for us? There's no one. He's scoring all our goals at the moment, isn't there? It's not as if we're getting goals elsewhere and we can cover his goals with everyone else, because it's just not happening at the moment, unless we get a big upturn in form and we do start playing, just suddenly clicks under Ljungberg or the new guy. I don't see what benefit we get from losing his goals for the next 2 seasons, which it's almost guaranteed 30 goals a season minimum. It's pretty much
on that basis, Andrew. On that basis, we should get rid of Lacazette then, because if you're selling
exactly,
Lacazette can't replace him, then get rid of Lacazette.
Well, I don't. In an ideal world, Melvin, I think we should keep them both, because we need a strong squad and good depth of the squad, because if Aubameyang does go down injured, then we can bring in Lacazette, and we've got enough games to keep everyone happy with minutes, and we could also give them a rest, so Lacazette Lacazette can just come on for Aubameyang for the last half hour of a few games and just to ease his minutes, just to keep him fresh as well, because we're blessed to have them both at the moment. But if we're going to sell one of them, I would sell Lacazette. Because
I don't want to sell either. It's that the players don't want to sign a new contract, which means that if he doesn't want to sign a new contract, come the summer, he could start moving away for free and stuff like that. And so we would have to sell him. Otherwise we would lose all of our investment on him. And at 31. I mean, if you look at it from the player side of it, I mean, before he came to us, he almost went to China, I think, and they pay you silly money over there. So he's probably looking at it. He's not won anything with Arsenal. He's coming to like the end of his high part of his career, if you like, and that's probably why he doesn't want to sign. So I don't blame the club, like they want to get rid of him. Obviously, we haven't. I blame the club in the way that we've used him. We saw the other day when we played Aubameyang up front with 2 wingers. None of this Liverpool front 3 bullshit. We played with a striker with 2 wingers. We had a good result and the players looked good. And that's what I think we should have been doing all along with Aubameyang. We should have kept him as our main striker and we used Lacazette as rotation. Like you say, we're winning the game really well. Last 20 minutes, we put on Lacazette and we should have done it that way.
I agree. And my opinion would be, come next summer. I mean, they're basically not signing a contract at the moment because they want to see who's going to come in. We know that for a fact. So if we get to next summer and he hasn't signed a new contract, I would still keep him and let him run his contract down in his case. And I'm not contradicting myself when we talked earlier about Sanchez and Ramsey. We should have got money for them because they were still young enough to make a lot of money on. But when it comes to him next summer, he's going to be close to 32. He will still get us another 30 goals next season to get us to where and say we don't qualify for the Champions League this season. We've got to go all out for it next season, and we will need his goals, because to replace his goals of 30 goals a season, anyone will be a risk, and we would have to pay more money than we'll get for Aubameyang. That's my theory, because if we got 50 million from Aubameyang next summer, because he's going to be another year older, then who are we going to get for 50 million that's going to score us 30 goals without taking a massive gamble?
Yeah.
And we've got to get back in the Champions League by hook or by crook. And I think we should we should rinse him of his best years whilst we've got him and make use of him and get his 30 goals next season as well, because you know he's going to get them.
But it's never good, though, isn't it, when you make a player stay if they want to go. If he turns around and says, look, I'm getting it
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Champions League, so we're not going to be in the Champions League. I'm done. I want to go. You got to let him go, ain't you?
I don't. Well, I'll do everything I possibly could to keep him happy.
That's what I'm trying to do. I offered him sort of like up to about maybe 300 grand a week, which is incentivized, not just a flat rate. It's incentivized so that he can earn. They're offering him good money, but he's not put pen to paper. And this has been going on now for about 7-8 months. They've been talking to him about a contract, and now he's actually turned around and said, "I'm not going to sign it."
You can't blame him because we've had Unai Emery as our manager.
Okay.
Now we've got a temporary manager, and he's waiting to see who comes in and what we can do. Anyone would do the same. Any player under his, in his position.
Yeah,
So
the club. That's what he wants. Which is
yeah.
for his, as you've all said about his career. He wants to
Yeah.
win things.
But if we had to sell one of them, I'd definitely sell Lacazette. As much as I love the guy, and I don't want to sell either of them, I'd sell Lacazette because he's never been a goal scorer in the same bracket as Aubameyang, ever. And the skill set that he's got, we can replace with other players. So, but we can't replace Aubameyang's goals. No chance. So I'd rather keep them both if we could in an ideal world, because our strike force is the best thing about the club at the moment, obviously, and the youngsters that we've got coming through. So anyway, I think we've been going nearly an hour and a half, so we'll call it a night there. If that's all right with you guys.
Yeah,
Well, you ain't got much choice because I'm going to end the broadcast. So. Anyway, so I really appreciate you all coming on. Anyway, Melvin, I've been wanting you to come on for ages and ages, and I'm really glad that you did. So thanks ever so much, mate.
No, I really enjoyed it, and I'd love to do it again if you give me a chance, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Any time. You're all welcome. Stan, thank you ever so much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me back.
Always a good time to have conversations with you over there. I think all four of us. I think. Well, I should say all four of us, all three of you. I really enjoy talking to all of you because I think you've all got some really good views about everything that goes on and good intelligent views. And Ryan, thank you as always for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. So next week, I'm just thinking, I don't know, one of the weeks coming up, I'm not sure I'm going to have a show. This is for the benefit of the listeners. I will put a note out on Twitter. I'm not sure whether it's next week or the week after. I've got my diary in front of me, but got some really good guests coming up in the next few weeks. Just waiting to get a couple of them booked on, but very, very exciting if we can get this nailed down to a date soon. So everyone watching, thank you ever so much. Thank you for everyone listening. Please like, subscribe and share so we can get some more viewers. It really helps. If you're listening on the audio version of the podcast, please give us 5-star rating on our Apple Podcast, as it's called now. That'd be really appreciated. And keep your eyes open and tuned in for the next show. Thanks ever so much for watching, and good night. Good night all.
See you. Good night. Thank you.